In this video, I'll be making a song in just 1 hour, but I won't be able to hear anything that I'm doing. I hope you enjoy. Okay, so I started off with chords using Lab's piano and the key of E minor with a tempo of 150 BPM. I laid out the chords and hoped for the best, really. Some vague sort of melody. And then next up was strings, and I used Labs again, and also Flex for this. And as you can hear, it was one chord that was the problem. And I just added reverb and other simple effects. So then it was time for the bass, and stupidly I made it an octave too low, essentially ruining the song, but I couldn't hear that, so oh well. And again, I just used basic effects, but it was really weird trying to mix with visuals rather than my ears. And then I used some drum samples, and I tried picking ones based off the waveforms, which was definitely interesting. Most of the mixing that I did was just based off my experience and what I'd expect to have to do with the instrument, which helped a bit, but it was definitely challenging to make a whole song based almost entirely on what I could see. I also added some SFX, and I made sure to use ones that I have used before and know that I like. And with that, the intro was basically done. Time to move on to the build. So I just used the same instruments but organised them differently. So now for the interesting part, the drop. So I made a quick drum pattern using what I'd already used for the build. I already had a basic idea for the drop pattern as well. So I used the hi-hats to follow the supersaws that I had in mind. So I used the supersaw preset that I made ages ago, and I just laid down the same chords as before. So as you can tell, it's shit, and not even effects can save this one, but I tried. And yet again, the bass was an octave too low, and this time I think I managed to make it sound worse somehow. just way too quiet. And at this point I was kind of running out of ideas, because making a song without hearing it is actually quite difficult, and I couldn't tell what else I wanted to add, but I knew that I needed a lead for the drop, so that's what I did next. And for some reason I decided to make one from scratch, even though I had no clue what it would sound like. But because it's really simple, it meant that I could vaguely imagine it. I think this could be the worst thing I've made in like 2 years. Pretty similar effects to most of the other instruments in the song, because I was just trying to be quite simple with everything. And this is the absolute masterpiece that I imagined up. So when I started this, I didn't think I'd have time to put pads in, but it turns out that I had plenty of time, which was surprising. So yeah, I put pads in. So next I wanted to add some guitar ambience, which I've done in a few of my actual songs, and I really love the effect that it has. But unfortunately, this one was shit, and it was barely audible. Not to mention, its placement was really bad as well. I luckily did realise that this one needed to be an octave higher than it was, which made it sound vaguely okay, but even that's pushing it. So finally in the drop, I faded out the supersaw and the bass and the lead to go into the outro better, and this bit turned out alright because I knew what I was doing here. And from this point on, I was basically just arranging an outro with what I already had, which isn't all that interesting. And with a bit of time left, I went searching for drum fills to make the drop a bit more interesting, and I picked out a few that looked nice. And I've narrowly avoided some terrible ones. And with those final touches, the hour was up, and it was time to listen to my masterpiece. So there we go, I made a song in 1 hour without being able to hear it. And it was definitely very challenging, and I will not be doing it again because I do not like the result. But I really hope you enjoyed, and let me know what you think.